Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. Today we're diving deep into one of the most pivotal moments in history, the Russian Revolution of 1917. We'll cover its causes, key leaders, global significance, and more. So, if you're a history buff or just curious about this critical event, stick around because we've got a lot to unpack. Let's start by understanding the background and causes of the Russian Revolution. The Russian Revolution of 1917 refers to a series of two interconnected uprisings that took place in Russia, resulting in the overthrow of the Romanov dynasty and the establishment of the Soviet Union. The revolution had profound implications for Russia and the world, leading to the rise of communism as a significant ideological and political force and impacting the balance of power in international relations. Background and causes. 1. Socio-economic factors. The Russian Empire in the late 19th and early 20th centuries was characterized by a deeply entrenched autocracy, social inequality, and economic hardships for the majority of its population. The majority of Russians were peasants living in abject poverty, while a small elite, including the nobility and industrial capitalists, controlled most of the wealth and political power. The agrarian-based economy was outdated and inefficient, and industrialization had led to harsh working conditions in factories too. Political factors. The autocratic rule of the Romanov dynasty, particularly under Tsar Nicholas II, was marked by repression, censorship, and a lack of political freedoms. The state's secret police, the Okhrana, maintained strict control over dissent, making it difficult for opposition movements to gain traction. The Duma, a parliamentary body established in 1905, had limited powers and was often sidelined by the Tsar. 3. World War I and military failures. The outbreak of World War I in 1914 exacerbated Russia's problems. The war put immense strain on the Russian economy, leading to food shortages and economic instability. The Russian military suffered a series of humiliating defeats, eroding confidence in the government's ability to lead. The war also drained resources from domestic concerns and highlighted the Tsar's personal involvement in military decisions. 4. Intellectual and ideological factors. Intellectual currents, such as Marxism, gained popularity among Russian intellectuals, particularly in urban centers. These ideas called for the overthrow of the capitalist system and the establishment of a classless society. Revolutionary parties and groups, including the Bolsheviks and Mensheviks, began to organize and agitate for change. 2. The February Revolution, 1917. The February Revolution began as a spontaneous uprising in Petrograd, modern-day St. Petersburg, in February 1917, Julian calendar, March in the Gregorian calendar, ultimately leading to the abdication of Tsar Nicholas II. 1. Events leading to the revolution. The immediate trigger for the February Revolution was widespread food shortages and discontent among workers and soldiers. Protests and strikes erupted, and the situation escalated when soldiers refused to suppress the demonstrators. The Petrograd Soviet, a council representing workers and soldiers, emerged as a parallel authority to the Tsarist government. 2. Abdication of Tsar Nicholas II. Under mounting pressure, Tsar Nicholas II abdicated the throne on March 2, 1917, Julian calendar. He named his brother, Grand Duke Michael Alexandrovich, as his successor, but Michael declined the throne, effectively ending the Romanov dynasty's rule. 3. Provisional government and dual power. Following Nicholas's abdication, a provisional government, led by liberal politicians, took control of the country. This marked the establishment of dual power, with the Petrograd Soviet representing the interests of workers and soldiers, while the provisional government claimed to represent the broader population. 3. The October Revolution, 1917. The October Revolution, also known as the Bolshevik Revolution, occurred in October 1917, Julian calendar, November in the Gregorian calendar, and resulted in the Bolsheviks, led by Vladimir Lenin, seizing power. Bolshevik rise to power. Throughout 1917, The Bolsheviks, a radical faction of the Marxist Social Democratic Labor Party, gained support among urban workers, soldiers, and peasants. Their slogan, "Peace, Land, and Bread," resonated with the war-weary and impoverished population. 2. Lenin's return and the April Theses. Vladimir. Lenin, who had been in exile, returned to Russia in April 1917. He presented his April Theses, which called for the overthrow of the provisional government, an end to the war, and the transfer of land to the peasants. Lenin's leadership galvanized the Bolsheviks and their supporters. 3. July Days and Kornilov Affair. In July 1917, the Bolsheviks attempted to seize power prematurely during the July Days, but the effort failed, and their leaders were arrested. However, in August, the failed Kornilov Affair, a right-wing military coup, discredited the provisional government and further weakened its authority. 4. The October Coup. In October, the Bolsheviks, with support from the Petrograd Soviet and key military units, staged a coup. They occupied key government buildings, and the provisional government collapsed without much resistance. On October 25, 1917, Julian calendar, the Second All-Russian Congress of Soviets approved the transfer of power to the Bolsheviks. Key leaders. 1. Vladimir Lenin. Vladimir Lenin was the leader of the Bolshevik Party and the driving force behind the October Revolution. He served as the head of the Soviet government and the Russian Soviet Federative Socialist Republic, RSFSR, and was instrumental in consolidating Bolshevik power. 2. Leon Trotsky. Leon Trotsky played a crucial role in organizing the Red Army and defending the Bolshevik government during the Russian Civil War. He later became a prominent rival to Lenin's successor, Joseph Stalin. 3. Joseph Stalin. Although not as prominent during the initial revolution, Joseph Stalin would go on to become one of the most significant leaders of the Soviet Union. He served as General Secretary of the Communist Party and later became the Soviet Union's undisputed leader. 4. Alexander Kerensky. Alexander Kerensky was a key figure in the provisional government and briefly served as its leader. He was unable to address the country's pressing issues and prevent the Bolsheviks from seizing power. The Russian Civil War, 1917–1923. The Russian Civil War was a protracted conflict that followed the October Revolution. It pitted the Bolshevik Red Army against various anti-Bolshevik factions known as the White Army, as well as foreign intervention forces. The war had several fronts and was marked by extreme violence and suffering. 1. White Army factions. The White Army consisted of a diverse array of groups, including monarchists, liberals, nationalists, and foreign-backed forces. Their primary goal was to overthrow the Bolshevik government. 2. Foreign intervention. Several foreign countries, including the United Kingdom, France, the United States, and Japan, provided support to the White Army in the hope of defeating the Bolsheviks. Their involvement further complicated the conflict. 3. Red Army victory. Despite the odds against them, the Red Army, under the leadership of Trotsky and others, emerged victorious in 1923. The Bolsheviks' centralized command structure, ideological zeal, and effective propaganda played crucial roles in their success. Global significance. The Russian Revolution had profound global implications. 1. Spread of communism. The success of the Bolsheviks inspired communist movements worldwide. The formation of the Soviet Union marked the birth of the world's first socialist state, leading to the spread of communist ideology and the establishment of communist governments in various countries during the 20th century. 2. Redrawing of borders. The Russian Revolution led to the dissolution of the Russian Empire and the formation of the Soviet Union, which would become a superpower in the 20th century. This event drastically altered the geopolitical landscape of Eastern Europe and Central Asia. 3. Impact on world politics. The rise of the Soviet Union as a global power challenged the existing world order. It led to ideological conflicts, such as the Cold War, and had far-reaching implications for international relations, arms races, and proxy conflicts. 4. Social and economic changes. The Soviet Union implemented radical economic and social policies, including collectivization of agriculture and central planning of the economy. These policies influenced debates about economic systems and state intervention in the West. That's a wrap on our deep dive into the Russian Revolution of 1917. If you found this video informative, don't forget to like and subscribe for more historical content. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you in the next video. Stay curious.